You're listening to The Sports Moment,
May 6th, 2024.
part of the Sports Moments and Memories with Craig Olson podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a sports moment. Sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Lake Area Docks and Lifts, more than just docks and lifts. Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Well, the amateur baseball season is underway as the Fergus Falls Hurricanes opened up play on Sunday at American Legion Field at D Lagoon Park, and they opened up with a victory, and an impressive one. They had 3 pitchers combined for 15 strikeouts and no walks as they beat the Sauk Centre Titans by a score of 6-2. Starting pitcher Eric Salveson was relieved by Alex Hexum, who got the win, and then Darren Stanislawski finished up for the save. Each of the 3 pitchers went 3 innings for the Canes, and the only runs that were scored were unearned by Sauk Centre. Offensively, the Canes were led by Tostin Mann, who went 3 for 5 with a single, a double, a home run, couple of runs batted in, and a run scored as well. So good start for the Canes. They will be at Alexandria Saturday for their next game, playing the Alexandria Black Sox at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Well, this weekend was a good one for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves are off to a great start in the postseason. They swept the Phoenix Suns 4 games in a row in their opening series, and now they are 1-0 against the defending NBA champion Denver Nuggets. They won in the Mile High City Saturday night, 106-99, and what a night for Anthony Edwards. He scored a playoff career high and a franchise postseason record 43 points in the game to lead the Timberwolves to that victory. Naz Reid had 14 of his 16 points in the fourth quarter, and the Timberwolves' defensive effort was again outstanding. So they are up 1-0 in their best-of-7 second-round Western Conference NBA playoff series against the defending champs. Denver has a 4.5-point advantage tonight, according to the odds makers, in Game 2, which they will host. After tonight's action, the series comes to Minneapolis for Games 3 and 4. The Cleveland Cavaliers ended their Eastern Conference opening round series against Orlando last night with a 106-94 victory. The Cavaliers move on, winning the series 4-3. Also over the weekend, the Minnesota Lynx started play their first preseason game at Target Center, went in the win column, Minnesota 92, the Chicago Sky 81. The Lynx will play in D.C. on Wednesday against the Washington Mystics. That is a 10:30 a.m. contest, and that will be their final preseason game. Then they'll open the regular season on Tuesday, May 14th against the Seattle Storm on the road, and will come home on Friday, May 17th, to open the home portion of their season schedule, and that also will be against the Seattle Storm. Well, the Minnesota Twins had a 12-game winning streak come to an end yesterday as the Boston Red Sox beat them by a score of 9-2. That 12-game winning streak is tied for the second longest in franchise history. They won 15 in a row in their World Series championship year of 1991. So it was a great run here, and it brought the Twins right back into the playoff conversation and the battle for the Central Division title, as they are now only 2.5 games behind the Cleveland Guardians in the standings. The Twins are 19-14 on the season, and they will play a Seattle Mariners team that leads the American League West by a half game over Texas. Seattle is 19-15. And they will send right-hander Luis Castillo to the mound against the Twins' right-hander Simeon Woods Richardson in Game 1 of that 4-game series at Target Field tonight. So the Twins hopefully can get back on the winning track. Ryan Jeffers continued his hot start to the season yesterday with a solo home run. Pemberton Law Firm has 4 locations from which to serve you in Fergus Falls, Wadena, Detroit Lakes, and Alexandria. And you can also visit them online at pemlaw.com. Pemberton Law carries a legacy of trustworthy and reputable legal representation dating back to 1883. Lake Area Docks and Lifts offers premium waterfront equipment sales, service, and installation. Best quality and service at the best prices. Just ask your neighbor at the lake about Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Lake Area Docks and Lifts, more than just docks and lifts. Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Brady Speicher is the head coach of the Otter Tail Central track and field teams, and a great start for the Bulldogs, as both the guys and the gals were victorious in their last meet this past Thursday. And it's been a really kind of a record-setting year already, Brady. You've had a lot of, team records, individual best times and distances. Does it surprise you at all with the early success that this team has had?
You know, it really doesn't surprise me. We have one of the hardest working groups, in my 6 years here so far. Every day they're coming to practice and doing not only what they're supposed to, but maybe even above and beyond. We got great leaders in all our kind of event groups, whether it's sprints, throws, jumps, or distance. So, and they just feed off each other. At meets you'll hear, "Oh, Kinley just jumped a big one," and it encourages our high jumper to go and do the best that they've ever done. So it's been a really fun season so far, and I hope it keeps rolling as we head toward championship season.
Well, let's talk about some of these individual accomplishments. And since you mentioned Kinley Borman, let's start with her. She had a record-breaking performance on Thursday in the long jump.
Yeah, she jumped 17.2.5 or 17.2 1/4. That jump, as of yesterday, it was 4th in Class A. Last year she made it to the state meet, took 8th or 9th, and she wasn't. That's a great accomplishment for an 8th grader, but she wasn't too satisfied, and she's back and she's hungry to, I think, not only do better, but she's chasing a top finish at the placement at the state meet, which is just super exciting. Like I said, a 9th grader with that mentality is pretty rare. So we're really excited for her this year, but also knowing that Hovland and I have her for 3 more years.
When you mentioned how they kind of feed off each other, and that was evident in the high jump too, because the school record was tied.
Yeah, Maisha and Tony, we need to go to more meets at Sabika, because last year that's where she got her personal best as well. Jumped 5.2, which now is a top 8 mark in Class A, top mark in our section. And high jump's one of those events that you can get in your head a little bit and try to think of steps off here. I'm not arching enough, and she was able to clear all that, and looked amazing yesterday. I've never seen her jump as well as she did. And once again, you hope that continues as we get to these really big meets coming up.
Well, and Nora Frosley is an outstanding distance runner. She had a good cross-country season too, I know, and kind of picking up right to where she left off with a school record in the 3,200. What makes Nora so successful with that distance event?
Yeah, Nora, I always say Nora does what Nora does, and that is she's able to get everything out of a race when she competes. Our section is going to be super tough this year when it comes to the mile and 2 mile. Even with her school record performance and running close to 5:20 in the mile, on paper right now she wouldn't make it to the state meet. But I know that we have a training plan, and she's going to follow exactly what I put on paper. And I trust that when it comes to that big section race, she's going to have an extra gear and be able to surprise and pass the people on paper that are ahead of her.
You have also had really good success in the pole vault here in the early part of the season, and that certainly came through on Thursday. Talk about that event and the individuals that are doing it for you on both the girls' side and the guys' side.
Yeah, it is crazy that, we go to a meet and we win the girls, win the guys, and then have second and third place as well, meaning we didn't have this event 4 years ago. Thankfully, we got 3 great ADs here in the co-op, and they supported us getting that system. And then we have Coach DeMars, who just never vaulted in his life, but he spent hours and hours researching techniques and giving our athletes, the tools to be the best they can be. So we had Gabe Lindstrom, win the meet. Him and Jonas vaulted the same height, but then it goes down to, who passed the previous one faster. But our school record's 10.6, and they both jumped 10 feet. Then we had Quinn Condiff as well, take third with a personal best. And on the girls' side, our best vaulter is actually still kind of recovering from a wrestling injury. That's Caetana Lopez, and Avea Condiff was able to, fill her shoes and win the meet this week. So, yeah, I'm always super impressed that we're able to put up good results because we're so young when it comes to having that event.
And of course, the guys not to be outdone in the distance events by the girls. You have Peter Newark, who's having a great year for you too.
Yeah, Peter's a kid that he's just like Nora. He does whatever I ask him to do. It's distance running, as Coach Morris always told me, it's trusting the process, and you can't let your lows get too low, or when you run fast, get too high on yourself. He's putting in the work. We're still, I'm only keeping him at 35 miles a week, which is minimal compared to what other kids are doing in our section. And, he ran a 10:25, which is third right now in the section. And I really think he has a chance at making it to the state, and either the mile or the 2 mile, whatever we kind of decide the route to take. And, he's made it to state cross country this past fall. And that's a huge motivation. That's a huge incentive to have that state meet experience, because the next time he makes it, which hopefully is this season, he's going to be very confident when he steps on the track.
Well, you've had such strong performances up and down the lineup. Are there any events right now, Brady, where you're going, we're a little weak here, need to shore that up at this time?
We do need a 110-meter hurdler on the guys' side. We've thrown a couple people in there, and they're just so high. Hurdles, it's kind of a struggle. But there's really not, which is fun as a coach. I'm making our conference roster, and it's like, we're telling kids who would be on other conference teams, you have to stay home, which is a great problem to have when you're pushing each other at practice. But if I had to pick, I think our sprint relays, just not having the depth in the sprints, that's going to be a little tricky to be competitive in. But I really like our chances on both the guys and the girls' side to be near the top when it comes to the conference in 2 weeks.
So Tuesday you have the True Team competition in Pelican Rapids. What do you learn from the True Team setup, and what are your goals in a meet like that?
Yeah, True Team, you only get 2 per event. And for us as coaches, it's really showing kids what they're going to do at the conference meet. How many can we have kids that handle 3-4 events, and we're going to find out Tuesday. And if Tuesday doesn't go well for them, we know at conference, we got to focus on their 2 best, or maybe just their singular event. So I know a lot of teams put a lot of, emphasis on Tuesday. Us, it's going to be a learning curve of our very young team. We have 90 kids out and less than 10 seniors, and seeing what they can handle and learning from that. So when we get to conference, we are able to put our best roster on the track.
And final question for you. You referred to Coach Morris a little earlier. You had the opportunity to run for him at Perham, and I'm sure learned a lot from him. How much do you pattern your coaching philosophy and styles after what Coach Morris taught you?
Oh, it's an identical mirror. Everything I do, comes from my conversations with him now. As coaches, we're always adapting, and it'd be crazy if I was doing the same thing to my athletes that I was doing now 12 years ago at Perm, because training philosophies change. But Morris and I talk almost once a week, if not more than that. And he's always answering. He's a mentor for me. And there's no secret to that my kids are getting faster. It's because I'm doing exactly what Coach Morris is doing, or very close to it in Perm. You got to make it fit for your personnel. But no, he's always going to be a role model. He's one of the best ever to do it, up for National Coach of the Year again. And he deserves every recognition he gets.
Well, you're certainly taking the Otter Tail Central program in a great direction, and we wish you the best down the stretch here as you head into the postseason. Just keep everybody healthy, right?
Yeah, that's the goal. We got a couple of guys dinged up right now, and it's like, hey, we got 2 weeks, get healthy, and jump some big ones.
Brady Speicher, the head coach of the Otter Tail Central Bulldog track and field team.
Well, thanks for joining us for our first podcast of the week. Hope you have a great start to the week today and that you'll come back and visit us again tomorrow, and also be looking the first part of our 3-part Otter Hockey History feature podcast is going live today, so be sure and check it out as we bring you 3 different segments tracing the history of Otter hockey dating back to the late 50s when the program got started, and visiting with the coaches all the way through the program. So we'll look forward to putting those up over the next few weeks, and today's first segment is there, so be sure and check it out at Craig Olson Sports Moments and Memories on our podcast. Thanks for joining us.
You've been listening to The Sports Moment with Craig Olson, sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts. Produced by Sunroom Lab. Music by Blue Red Roses. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and thanks for listening.